Hey guys, so super duper missed you. If you're just joining us for the first time, I'm Sam. Some people call me Sandra. Personally, I'd rather not be that formal, so please and thank you. Super sorry it's been so long. Blame life just being life. But you may have noticed a little bit of rebranding. Originally, the first couple of videos were started with Mystic Moon, Ohio being the name of the channel. Well, in the span of life being life, I decided that I would go back to what I wanted to do most, help people out. And I decided the best way to do that was to make it its own separate, excuse me, sorry, make it its own separate entity from my store, Mystic Moon Metaphysical, in which case, Seeing with Sam was born. The goal is to work mostly with education and helping you guys get through retrogrades, learning tarot, magic, and also giving readings like I used to, where they were to help you guys with life, help you with self care, all of the things that we tend to forget, if we're going to be honest. But there is also a new Facebook page out strictly for that. It's called Seeing with Sam. It's going to be in the description. Feel free to like it. Follow the page. I'll be giving daily morning reads there and weekly Monday evening readings. But sorry, don't know what's up with my throat today. But also, I will be giving live readings here on YouTube on a TBD, so keep an eye out for that notification. In the meantime, though, let's talk about Magick. In a previous video, I mentioned that it would be the next video, so you know what? Without further ado, let's get on it. So, some of you are going to think that I'm totally nuts, but you are working with a very real energy from the universe, for lack of a better way to describe it. You are actually doing something that is changing the reality around you when you are doing manifestation, spell work, whatever you want to call it. You are changing things, which is why the first thing we're going to talk about, other than the fact that you are dealing with and working with real shit, is ethics. So, one of the things that I get asked about a lot in my store is love spells. I know it's a cliche, but it seems to be a thing. My goodness, I'm sorry. But love spells apparently are still very much a thing that people seem to think will fix their relationship, get that crush that they are absolutely sure for however long that that person is the one for them. The thing about love spells is the one thing that everyone seems to forget is it takes away a person's free will. So that's why I want to talk about ethics before we talk about how to do manifestation spell work. I personally call it spell work because you are working with magic, with a K, not a C, by the way. And with a lot of things, I like to compare it to things in the mundane world. When it comes to love spells, the best example I have is when you roofie somebody. That's essentially what you're doing with a love spell. You're taking away someone's free will and you're making them into your puppet. You're not encouraging what's already there or anything else, though it is very likely that they did have some level of feelings for you or at one point did. But the thing is you will never know for sure if they chose you because of you or the spell, for one. So that will leave you questioning you and yourself and how you are as a person. If they chose you or if the spell made them choose you, for one. And for another thing, would you really want someone to take away your free will? Absolutely not. So why would you want to do that to somebody else, even with the best of intentions? So that being said, I will never, ever, 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 ever teach you guys how to attract a certain person or how to do that formula of a love spell. Will I later on teach you guys how to attract the person that you should have in your life? Ask the universe to send that person? Absolutely. We will get on that in the more advanced stuff. But for right now, know that free will is a thing, and if you wouldn't want somebody to do that to you, don't do it to them. That whole do unto others thing is a thing, even with magic. Because another problem with the whole ethics thing is energy can be directed, but it can never be undone. So say you did that love spell that I warned you against doing anyway because you were absolutely sure that that was the one for you. Totally sure. Fast forward 6 months. You don't love them anymore. But that person, because of your spell, is still desperately in love with you. Congratulations. You ruined someone's life by breaking up with them, and what could have been a nice civil breakup turns into a emotional train wreck that could have been totally avoided if you hadn't done the spell. So anytime that you go to do any spell, think about all the possible repercussions. Because even a minor little make a quick buck spell could accidentally do something on a much larger scale. All right? You may have gotten that quick $20 for your gas tank, but because you chose to do something small and not going to affect anything, now you have that money in your gas tank, but you just got a shut-off notice in the bill, in your mail. So please think before you do any magic, all right? Think about any possible consequences if you do something selfish or something that you couldn't have just done on your own. Mundane before magic, guys. Say it with me. Mundane before magic. If you can fix it yourself without magic, do it. The reason that people use spells and manifestation and whatever is to not take away the work to be able to earn those things, but to make them a little bit easier. All right? That is what magic is. That's what it's supposed to be used for. Okay? Because even I will agree with the Christians with their whole saying, God helps those that help themselves. Whatever higher force is out there follows that same guideline, all right? So long as you do the work, if you do the spell, they'll grease the wheels a little bit so that's a little bit easier to get to, but you still have to do the work. Now that we got most of the nitty-gritties out of the way, I'm sure I'm going to think of something else along the lines of that when we talk more about this. But before we go into that, let's talk about timing, because believe it or not, timing can either make or break your spell. Now, personally, when it comes to timing, all right, I'll lightweight go by days of the week, depending on the spell I'm doing, but 9 times out of 10, I'm going off of the moon phase. Not even necessarily what zodiac sign it's in, unless I want to do a bigger ask than I typically would. But for something like encouraging my confidence to be a little bit better or to help me analyze what my real stressors are so I can handle them better, I'm going for a moon phase. And the easiest way to remember that is if you want to bring in something, waxing moon. If you want to kick something out, waning moon. If you're working on divination or protection spells, I always recommend either full moon or new moon. Now, everyone and their brother is probably going to tell you, oh my God, you can't do any magic on the new moon. Or, you can only do spells on the full moon. That's when it's the most potent. Here's the thing, guys. Every phase has its use. There's no universal law that I have yet to find that says that you can only do spells on a full moon, or you cannot do spells on a new moon, or that the full moon is any more useful than the other phases, all right? Because yes, I'm not gonna lie, to a degree, the full moon is a little more potent, but honestly, I have done spells on all the phases, and depending on the phase I am in at that moment in time and my intention, across the board works just the same. All right, so if the moon's getting bigger, when it's waxing, it's stuff that you want to bring in. If you're trying to boot stuff out, when it's waning and getting smaller. All right, super easy. You want it in, waxing. You want it out, waning. Now, is there a way to kind of kick it up a notch a little with days of the week or with what zodiac the moon is in? Yes. That's a little more advanced magic, and it's not impossible. But if I were you guys, right now, let's keep it kindergarten, all right? In kindergarten, we learned how to count 1 through 20, and we learned basic addition and subtraction. That's the same way we're going to learn magic, guys. Basic little stuff. So definitely don't worry, there will be a segment on timing. Or if you don't want to wait for me to tell you how to do it, perfectly fine. Your next best bet, no joke, when it comes to days of the week, is The Craft by Dorothy Morrison. I started it, it was actually part of my original journey when I was 12. Still reference that book to this day for the herbs section because, let's face it, even I can only be so much of a walking encyclopedia. And as far as moon phases and their uses, Moonology by, oh crap, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I want to say it was Yasmin Yoland or something like that. Anyway, as soon as you find the Moonology Oracle deck, trust me, you'll find the book. And it is incredibly useful that I found as far as how to get the most out of the zodiac portion of a moon phase. Not all of them, unfortunately, mostly just the new moon and the full moon, but still with a little bit of reading and kind of not necessarily tweaking, but expanding your brain to think a little bit bigger can totally still be useful, all right? Now, to figure out what zodiac sign our moon is in, I can always start posting where we're at along with my daily posts on my Facebook page for Seeing with Sam, or I guarantee that there is either an app like Moonly or another source that is going to be able to tell you every day of the week what phase and what zodiac sign the moon is in. But like I said, right now we're going to keep it simple. If you've already kind of gone past the kindergarten stage, go you. Just please be smart, be safe. But for those of you still in the beginner stage, keep watching. After timing, the most basic supplies that you're ever going to need for magic is a candle, herbs, stones, and knowing your intention. If you have the proper good grief, words, corresponding candle color, corresponding herb or herbs, and the corresponding stone or stones, You can do pretty much any spell without the extra fluff. The fluff sometimes helps, but honestly, I found that those three things, with knowing my intention, has yet to fail me. My business has stayed in business. Mystic Moon Metaphysical started in 2001. It's 2003, guys. There's got to be something to the theory, right? Because there are times where I have asked for help in ensuring I had the resources I needed to ensure the place kept going. Not necessarily what I wanted, but I made sure I asked for what I needed. All right? Big difference. Big. I made the intention very specifically what I needed to continue my store. Did it bite me in the butt? A little bit. Because the store is a separate entity from myself. Excuse me. But the store has continued. So there's got to be something in that whole candle, herbs, stones, intention. And depending on the moon phase, I still did it with ensuring I had the resources I needed. Just kind of tweaked it instead of the waxing, help me find the resources I need to continue my store. I asked for the aid to be able to overcome the obstacles in my way to get to the resources I needed. Same idea, just a little bit of a tweak. Now, a spell can be as complex or as simple as you personally make it. Again, because I am assuming that we're all newbies that I'm speaking with right now. Right now, keep it with the kiss method. Don't know what is up with my throat today, but we'll go with it. The whole keep it simple, stupid. All right? Because intention is everything. Timing is only a little booster. And your supplies are really more or less just extra boosters and essentially an offering to the universe to help you get where you want to go. It's not going to be a secure, sure thing, because think of magic as more or less stylized prayer. Sorry, I got hair or something tickling my back here. But more often than not, the whole candle, herbs, and stones thing, absolutely. My biggest and probably most important thing for you beyond supplies is cleanse your stuff. All right? You don't know what energy is on it, and you don't want it tampering with your magic. So for spaces before you get started, sage. For the items, selenite. All right? For environment, sage. For stuff, selenite. Because just like you wouldn't use window cleaner to clean your kitchen counters, you wouldn't need, because of, yes, it's all negative energy, but you still want to use something different for the different types of cleansing. Because yes, a window cleaner will still get your counters clean, but it's designed for glass, not for granite, linoleum, whatever you got on your counter. Right? Same idea. So say it with me. Sage environment, selenite stuff. And the best way to remember that is whenever you're burning sage, it becomes more of a smoke, right? At least I'm assuming by now we've all done a sage bundle by now. And before we get into this whole controversy that I'm not going to lie, it already gives me a headache just thinking about it. You can burn white sage without infringing on somebody's personal traditions, all right? It grows everywhere. White sage, blue sage, green sage, it all grows everywhere. The only thing that is actually A stepping on toes, if you will, of someone else's traditions is if you're also hijacking their ritual while you're burning your sage. All right? Sage is a plant. Plants are not owned by any single faith. If that were the case, I'm quite sure that there are other faiths out there that would have claimed pretty much all the plants out there. So before you lose your shit or have somebody jump on you because you chose to use sage, ask them flat out, okay, if I'm not supposed to use sage, then let's see, what's a good one to use? Why do we use sage in our cooking if we can't use it for our cleansing? Because I can tell you right now, when I add sage to my roast, it's delicious. So if it is a, oh my God, we're stepping on somebody's toes ritual thing, then we gotta have a nice long chat about all the other plants out there, right? Now, we've talked about timing. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm double checking my notes because scatterbrained little freak here wants to make sure I get you all the information as you need it, not when my brain just happens to remember it later because, let's face it, I've been doing magic for, not to age myself, but a couple of decades. So for me, it's second nature. For you, not so much. So we talked about timing, supplies. Let's talk execution, all right? Now, when I say execution, I am not saying get the guy with the giant axe and the black hood. We're talking about actually doing your spell. Now, remember how I said that intention was one of the biggest portions of your spell manifestation? Again, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Wellsies, your intention is a huge part of how you're going to ensure that that spell goes the way that you want it to go. Huge. That being said, let's talk about execution. Now, someone's probably going to tell you that you need to cast a circle, call the coroners, do all these extra things. If you are a religiously practicing pagan, I 100% agree with that person that says cast the circle, call the coroners, call the Lord and Lady. Okay? That's if you are a religiously practicing pagan. If you are not, that does not apply to you. Because, let's face it, you are not a religiously practicing pagan. So, would you go to church if you don't intend to follow that faith? Obviously not. Would you go to a synagogue if you don't plan on becoming Jewish? Or at least seeing what Judaism is about or what Christianity is about before you go into their religious space? Absolutely not. So, that being said, you do not need to cast a magic circle. What you should definitely do is still cleanse your space, be it with sage, a prayer, however you ensure that the space that you are working with is an energetically clean one before you get started is what matters. And having all of your supplies in front of you while you're working is another thing that I definitely highly encourage. Now, say you are planning to be a Christian witch. Those are a thing. The way that you would most likely cleanse your area is asking God, Jesus, angels, whomever that your path of Christianity that you are personally used to would be. Ask them to energetically cleanse your space and ask them to accept those items, the candle, herbs, and stones, as an offering to aid you in your goals. If you are a Nordic witch, again, it goes based on the path that you have chosen. Say you've chosen none of these. It's happened. Say that the only thing you want to do is just try and get that damn promotion so you can start doing better the way that you feel that you need to by your family. The only thing you have to do is, again, make sure that you've got your candle, stones, and herbs in front of you, and ask the universe itself to help you get that promotion so that you can do better by your family in the way that you would like to. All right? You do not have to be a pagan. You do not have to be a religiously devout person to ask the universe to help you out of a situation if your intentions are pure. Okay? Now, because I have this odd feeling that there's going to be that one guy. So, magic will not fully fix your life. As I said earlier, magic only greases the wheels. Magic will not get rid of your chronic illness or terminal illness, but it could help either boost your spirit so that your body can work better on fighting it, because it has been proven that a better disposition does help us heal. I am not a doctor. I've never gone to medical school. None of this is intended to replace your physician's recommendations, ever. Okay? Because, like I said, there's going to be that one guy. So it's been said. I have zero responsibility for anything you choose to use with the knowledge that you get from this video. Now, that being said, what I would personally do if I were pretty much any of the people I listed, the religious pagan, the Christian witch, or even the guy that says, you know what, could give a fuck less about religion, I just need some help. Either way, across the board, I would make sure that this is how I did it. I would put my candle either in or on a fire safe dish of some kind, okay? You can totally melt the bottom and stick it on there, as long as, again, you're using common sense and fire safety. That's going to hold your candle down. I would circle it with the herbs, and then I would put the stones in some level of a circle pattern around that as well, all while it's in front of me. Now, please make sure before you get started, you will not be disturbed, okay? That's very, 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 very important, because if your intention wavers, at best, nothing happens. Okay, that's the best case scenario that I could ever possibly give you, is nothing happens. Worst case scenario, that raise that you wanted to get to be able to get yourself out of credit debt and be able to buy your family that nice house. Instead, that awesome credit debt could triple because your intention got deviated, okay? So help me, help you make sure that nothing goes wrong with your intentions. Now, that is not to say that your children or your pets cannot, in some level or another, help you, depending on what you're planning on doing. If your children are old enough to pay attention and aid you in shoving that intention where you want it to go, feel free to add your kids. Absolutely. Make it a normal thing. To encourage peace in the home every Wednesday night or whatever you want to do. Or if your cat or dog is not likely to knock over that candle, let them in. There, the whole familiar thing is actually a thing. And if you're not sure on what familiars really are, I'll be sure to make sure to add that to my list of topics that I'm making tutorials for. Just leave in the comments if you want an expansion of what the heck familiars are. Just please, please, please make sure that whatever helper or what have you is actually going to be a help, because, again, distractions at best are going to make sure that nothing happens. At worst, your entire intention can go not just sideways, but inside out. All right, so keep that in mind anytime that you do a spell. And I will be more than happy to offer other places to get correspondences for how to work with herbs and stones and candles. Again, The Craft by Dorothy Morrison is probably the best starter reference guide I can possibly give you. But if you would like more expansion on that, feel free to leave in the comments that you would like an expansion on correspondences for stones and herbs. I'll be happy to give you not just the magic aspect, but the zodiac and the planet and the chakra as far as what's in my notes. Because most of my notes have almost all of those filled in a large amount of spreadsheets. Because let's face it, while being a practicing pagan, I'm also a bit of a digital witch. We're in 2023. Might as well use what we've got, right? Now you're probably thinking, okay, I've heard about the timing, I've heard about supplies, I've heard about how to execute it to a degree. What do I do with the leftovers when I'm done with my spell? Well, there's a few ways to take care of that one. My personal favorite is to let the candle burn all the herbs to ash, and then depending on that intention, I will either cast those ashes into a running stream nearby, I can bury them in my yard, or I can put them in a necklace and wear it with me so that I can keep that intention with me and that manifestation still going with my own personal power. So let's say that for whatever reason, the idea of fire scares the shit out of you. Fire itself, you have a phobia of, or maybe you're worried about ensuring a contained environment for that fire while it's going. Whatever your issue is with fire, there are other ideas, okay? So don't freak it out. Now, let's say that you frequent a woods nearby or you have a running stream in a local park, whatever. Please make sure that whatever tools you're using or supplies you're using are biodegradable if you choose to go that route or the route that I'll be telling you next. Okay? We don't want to hurt our animal friends, right? So long as you have biodegradable, that means it can be naturally broke down and not hurt the environment. If you have biodegradable supplies that you're using, it is absolutely fine to cast it in running water and ask the naiads to help ensure that your request gets to the universe. Because water spirits will be just as helpful as fire spirits. Okay, so if fire is not your thing, water is still an option. So go to the woods, local park. Just emphasis on biodegradable. We don't want to accidentally hurt a creature that had nothing coming for them other than just trying to find its next meal. Okay? Now, say you don't like the idea of burning everything to ash, or you're not a huge fan of the water idea because you don't want to look like a weirdo throwing a handful of herbs and stones and such into a stream. That's all right. Do you have a side yard and a trowel? Bury it respectfully in the yard, okay? That's all you gotta do, and ask the earth element or earth spirits or just natural earth energies to help you carry out what you request. Okay? So you have 3 fully natural options, minimal effort. Say none of those are calling to you and you're more of a crafty person. If the spell is for someone to help them get over grief, or a way to help a child get over a nightmare, because there are spells for that too, actually, make it a gift. Make it something that they'll use. Because there are ways to do spells for other people that don't take their free will away and are strictly intended for helping. So don't be afraid to occasionally just go, you know what? I know my best friend recently, I don't know, lost their job. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, and it would definitely not mess with anyone's free will. if you made a little optimism jar to help them not only get over the loss of their job, but give them the strength to find a new one. Because let's face it, who the heck really feels like doing anything when they feel like a failure just because they lost their job? Or let's say that they're having a devil of a time finding their first job because everywhere they go to says, oh, well, we need someone with experience. Make a small success jar to help grease the wheels to help them get to that first job. There are ways to help people with magic without affecting anyone's free will. Now, for a quick recap, remember timing does matter. If we want to bring something in with our spell work, manifestation, whatever, waxing moon. If we want to kick stuff out, waning moon. Your most basic supplies you'll ever need are a corresponding candle, herbs, and stones, and a full, undivided intention. Not attention, but that definitely helps, especially with a lit candle. But intention, where you know specifically what you want. Execution, making sure that they're all in front of you for you to work with while you do this spell, and making sure that your helpers are actually helpers. And last but not least, disposal. Make sure that you are respectfully, I cannot emphasize enough, but respectfully disposing of your materials. Because you're asking the universe to help you out. Your supplies are a gift to the universe to help you get what you need. Would you really want to help somebody that gifted you with a pickup truck on its last legs? Hell no. You want them not to offer you these things respectfully, but you want to help them because they chose to be respectful, right? So without any further ado, I hope everyone has a great day. I hope to see you guys in future videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe to ensure that you get notifications for future ones. And I will see you again with our next video, which is going to be over the coming Mercury retrograde starting on August 3rd for the pre-shadow. And we will talk about who's going to be most affected, pre-shadow, post-shadow, full direct, and then finally going direct degrees for Mercury retrograde, and how we can all survive that. So until next time, hope to see you all again soon. Bye.